I am Lady Frost.
And I'm the Savage Gentleman, Victor Benjamin.
And we are Pretty Proper. And you're watching Top Guy Theater.
Yes, sir, we promised you a great deal of tonight.
Andre, the China Hulkamania is running west. My God, what a man! It's not the world is watching.
Good afternoon, ladies and gents, mostly gents, because I think maybe like two ladies watch this show. Welcome to another edition of Top Guy Theater. I'm Phil Jackson. Frank Bruno is doing something involving drowning kids in a swimming pool. I mean, his depravity for abusing children has gone to an all-time low. So I'll be hosting us this afternoon. We've got a fun show planned. We have the infamous 1997 Survivor Series with that Screwjob. You know what I'm talking about. No, not the Screwjob, but the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels Screwjob is going to be a fun topic to talk about today. We've got a very, very, very special guest and an asshole that's filling in for Frank. Should be a lot of fun. And as I love to always say, the show must go on. Damn, that intro never gets old. What's up, everybody?
Hello. How's it going?
Hi.
Hello and good afternoon.
Hola, ¿cómo
I'm
estás?
just going to mute him right off the bat. Just mute him.
Oh. There you go.
So,
now I'm unmuted. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Henry, you look beautiful and blue. You look like the Blue Meanie's angry cousin. What's going on, sir?
Angry stepchild is more like it. I'm good today, Phil. How are you?
Well, I'm freshly shaven. I've got a black eye, and I'm ready to watch some Survivor Series.
Sorry about that, Phil.
It's okay, Adam. I forgive you. But next time, just watch where you aim that thing.
My bad.
Brandy, fresh back off her sexcapades from Vegas. What's up, Brandy?
Yep. Glad to be back. Glad to be ready to hang out and watch some good wrestling. And I made it out of Vegas alive, so.
But did anything happen in Vegas that needed to stay in Vegas?
Yes.
I'm going to take that as a yes. Adam happened in Vegas. Adam's definitely not staying in Vegas. So what's up, Adam?
I don't kiss and I don't tell, but I love telling about it when it's going on.
Once again, we'd like to welcome you as the newest member of Top Guy Theater. We were nice to you last week, but the gloves are off now. So
I didn't mean to blow up last episode with the different color food stuff we talked about. So I'll try to keep it more on the level this time.
And we have our fill-in for Frank today, Rhode Island's baldest man, Mr. Anthony Pires. How are you, Anthony?
Well, I'm okay, but not as good as you guys must be doing, because I know you guys were starting to cry. You were starting to whine, complain, moan just like children when you found out Frank Bruno wasn't going to be here today. And you said to yourself, we need some Rhode Island sexiness. And you went from the third sexiest man in Rhode Island to the first. Of course, like I said, in second place is every other man in Rhode Island. So, folks, the Ocean State, the biggest little state in the Union, is well represented. Where I'm just living in my fashionable crib, enjoying my coffee. too early for a beer. It's great to be here, and I want to thank Frank Bruno for letting me fill in today. I appreciate that, Frank.
Hey. We should also note before we keep going, Mr. Rhode Island Sex Guy, can you lower the camera just a little bit?
I was about to say, Frank Bruno is here in spirit.
Yes, as soon as I saw it.
That damn belt's always in the way.
And if you want one of those bad boys for yourself, go on over to ProWrestlingTees.com, pick one up for yourself today. All proceeds from the purchase of that shirt. Dear God, Phil, why did you do that? Go to our to the charity for our Mania Madness Marathon on June 4th, the Organization for Autism Research.
Guys, and remember, not all of you could look like me. Not all of you could look like Rob Gronkowski or Tom Brady or Derek Jeter. So if you happen to wear the Frank Bruno shirt, your woman's going to look at that shirt and then look at you and go, my God, he's not that bad after all.
Finally, we've got.
Fun fact: none of those people are from Rhode Island. But go ahead, Phil.
Oh, that's all right. We've got our special guest all the way from the other side of the world, Mr. Nick Mills. Sir, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, clearly I'm on a lot of caffeine.
As you heard, I'm on the Diet Coke myself.
Are you ready for some Survivor Series 97? Did you pick?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I've never watched this pay-per-view before.
You've never seen the screw job.
I've seen the screw job, but I've never watched the entire pay-per-view because I know what's going to happen.
Now you know I'm talking about the screw job on Survivor Series, not Anthony's OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, right. I've never been able to watch this pay-per-view from start to finish.
Wow.
I'm always really devastated.
Believe it or not, it's actually good. It's a solid pay-per-view.
Yeah. I'm sure it is, but it's just one of those things that when I was a kid, when I found out about it, I was so devastated. And then obviously Brett went to WCW and did fuck all. That I was like, man, I can't watch that pay-per-view. But as I've got older, I've kind of learned to go, you know what? I need to give it a shot and give it a chance because it's not as if I think the Austin and Owen feud wrapped up on this one as well. So I've never actually seen how that finished. So it'll be an interesting pay-per-view to watch.
I'm ready to go. Heather, you want to get us lined up here? Where are we at on the cock today?
We are going to season number 11, episode 1, Survivor Series 1997 from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I think this is actually our first show that we've covered, or the first one in a long time, from the Canadian province of Quebec. We're starting at all zeros, and we're going to make our way into the first bout, which features a 4-on-4 Survivor Series match between the New Age Outlaws and the Godwins, going up against the Hank Bangers and the New Blackjacks. Phil, if you're ready to go and everybody else is too, do you want to do the countdown or do you want to leave that in my capable hands?
No, sir. I would like Nick Mills to do the countdown today since he's our special guest, and I'm going to track it as soon as we're ready.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. A play!
We're down to 1 minute and change. This match has been ordered to continue.
I think the wrong guy won.
This is bullshit! Everybody screwed me!
I don't like him, I don't trust him, and I don't believe him. You know, a lot of people don't agree with my lifestyle, but it is mine. It's a phony little shit.
Just because I come out here and choose to live my life openly and freely does not make you a better man. I don't respect you. I don't understand what it means to have dignity, to have poise, to bring prestige to the World Wrestling Federation. I do this because I like it. You do it because in your mind, Mark Man, you really think all of this is yours. This here is what it's all about. You are a zero, my hero. You're a disgrace to professional wrestling. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, is the icon that can still go. You're nothing but a degenerate. Who is the show stopper? Me. The lowest form Who is the main event? Let's settle the score right here, right now. Super kick is going to be 1 foot down yours. I'm going to kick your little scrawny ass.
That is excellent.
It's beautiful.
That is
Bret
so
Hart has
good.
a potty mouth.
Do you know, I watched Royal Rumble 97 the other day. The way they built up that feud as well. Like, none of them were the good guy, none of them were the bad guy. They just hated each other that much that you could tell it came through. Do you know what I mean? Such good chemistry.
Can I ask a question? Let me start
The
off.
stage is on fire.
Who was watching this as it happened?
I was.
Okay, but Brandy, you were like what, 6?
I was 7.
God.
Okay, Phil. So again, this is the 11th Survivor Series.
Yep.
Phil, how old were you roughly when this came out?
Let's see. What month was this?
This is November 1997.
November. I'm trying to remember. I was 15.
Okay, so you at least had some basis of the previous Survivor Series.
Oh, absolutely.
Let me ask you guys this question. But
go ahead.
Good. I was going to say, at this point in time, do you think the concept of Survivor Series had kind of played itself out?
Nope, not yet. I
wouldn't say it has here. In 1998, the show that we covered last week in our archives, there wasn't a Survivor Series match. That show focused on I think it was a 14-man tournament for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, which still fits that concept of survival. But
Tito,
I've absolutely loved, and I've said this multiple times, the Survivor Series 4-on-4 concept, or even 5-on-5. But when they did it where all of the survivors from the heels and all the survivors from the face fought each other at the end, that was great. What I think they should have done, and this would have been great. In the later years, they did, the Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. We still did that one year, but that was a great year. NXT swept. But what I think should have happened is they should have continued that trend of the winners staying on each team. And since it's bragging rights and, since it's a big deal, what should have happened is the winners of whatever team, whoever's left over, they get title shots for winning. So not only do they have bragging rights, but they get
some stakes.
Absolutely. And I think that would have just raised it up that much more because the matches themselves were great. Here's something nobody remembers. Roderick Strong beat Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles in the same match in the same night. Who remembers that? I do because it was a great match. But there were no stakes.
Something here doesn't go right. You got the Headbangers and the New Blackjacks. One of these are not like the other.
Like later on in the night, we the Road Warriors and Ken Shamrock and Ahmed Johnson. One of those things isn't completely like the others either. Or am I hearing like white noise?
There it is. It's gone. Whoever did it, thank you.
That's me. My fan was on. Sorry.
That's okay. I heard it and I'm like, is something wrong with my equipment? I'm like,
we were about to go back into Lady Frost's Victor Benjamin levels of audio problems.
No, not quite, because everything was still coming through clear. I heard weird white noise.
No, Henry, your equipment works just fine.
That's what they said.
The one thing that always kind of weirded me out about this pay-per-view, and I know we don't hear it because we're not listening to it, but instead of Howard Finkel doing the ring announcing, they've got somebody else who primarily is speaking French, which, again, the majority of people in Quebec speak French. It is the primary language of that province of Canada. I think, memory serves me right, I think it is the only majority speaking French anything in North America.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Man, and
So
Go ahead. Since they're also in Canada, obviously the Harts, no matter what they do, they could be kicking flaming babies with the audience as you're walking the ring. Are they going to be the top baby faces of the match, whatever match they're in? Because Canada's always weird, not just with the Harts, but in Canada it seems like the heels are always the faces.
Yeah, but I think it also speaks to how popular the Hearts were in Canada. Do you know what I mean? Especially, obviously, came from the dads and then everything else, Territory, Stampede. You know, I mean, what's that pay-per-view that happened a couple of months before this? Was it Canadian Stampede?
Yep.
The reactions to that match are unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it's like, wow, that passion with the audience is like, that's why I watch wrestling. Because when you have an audience like that, it just makes the match better.
Yeah, back in the archives, we covered that a few months ago, and I'd never seen Canadian Stampede before, and the audience reaction was freaking nuts.
Oh, it's great. I love when they all came out individually.
The audience made that. The audience made that show.
Yeah, 100%. When they all come out individually, the Hearts as well. Like even Brian Pillman's getting a reaction, Bulldog's getting a reaction, Jim Neidhart's getting a reaction. You're like, Jesus Christ! It's like Elvis just walked in.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. Did all of you just see Road Dogg smack? Is that Phineas's ass?
Phineas eye.
Yeah. He smacked him right in the booty, right he was hopping in the ring. Like, come on, go team.
No, so I just whenever you see those those reactions, you're like, man, Elvis just walked in, and I always love that little stand that Brett and Austin did at the beginning, and they're just talking shit to each other. I think that picture's been kind of passed around. I think they've both signed one for like High Spots or something. It's such a good photograph. If anything sums up that feud, it's Brett here, Austin here, just talking shit to each other. And I just thought, what a brilliant rivalry that was.
Such a great rivalry, and culminated in that match at WrestleMania, and that's still one of the greatest Mania matches of all time.
It's brilliant. I think it's my favorite Brett match. It's so good.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Even over the Austin match.
No. I'm saying Brett and Austin at WrestleMania.
Oh. Sorry, I thought you were back on the 10-man tag. I missed. I'm sorry.
No,
my bad.
No. Honestly, to me, I think I don't mean to cut you off. I always thought that one of Brett's better matches, as strange as it'll sound, because it happened in WCW, I believe it was the day after Owen Hart passed away, or it was within that month of May 1999. He had that match with Benoit.
Oh, that's great. That's another one.
I mean, we avoid talking about Benoit because of the awful, awful things that he did to his family later on down the road. But of all of the things that I remember Bret Hart for in WCW, that sticks at the very top of my mind, other than how he won Starrcade 97.
For me, it's wrestling. Do you know what I mean? That's why it gravitated me to Brett so much. It's wrestling, and it's storytelling in the match. I love how Brett would focus on the knee, focus on the leg. Even like a match with like Diesel, for example. He had a lot of good matches with Diesel. He would always take a body part and work on that. And as a kid, I was always like, man, it's just something different to what everybody else was doing. And a lot of it, when I was a kid, it was all just bang, 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 bang. Brett was like, no, it was methodical, the way that he approached it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what gravitated me to Brett. But that match with Austin, it's like a brawl, and then it's a wrestling match, and then it's a fight. And that's why I always pick that one as my favorite, because it's kind of got everything. And the finish to that match is so good, because it kind of, as you say, it switched them round. But Brett came off brilliant, and Austin came off brilliant. Even though Austin lost, it didn't matter.
Right. Austin won by losing that one.
Oh yeah.
And for context, by the way, that Benoit versus Hart match took place in October, about 5 months after Owen Hart's death.
I remembered it being in 1999. I thought it was sooner than that.
Because the match took place in Kemper.
I wouldn't mind hearing everyone else's favorite Bret Hart matches. Me, it's always been right, Owen. For me, he's had tons of great matches, but the story that match told was just beautiful. And I'm a big proponent of storytelling in a match. If they can have a match that tells a story that also built up with a story, is always wonderful. I go back to this a million times. Kenny Omega, Heyman, Adam Page, 1 year build in the ring, beautiful story. But I'd like to hear everyone else's favorite Bret Hart matches.
Before that, point of order to you. Are you talking about Bret Owen from WrestleMania 10 or Bret Owen from SummerSlam 94?
10.
Because I always kind of felt like that feud, while it slowed down at at WrestleMania 10, didn't really reach its conclusion until SummerSlam 94.
Yeah. When
Owen got his one and only shot at the WWE title, which truthfully, I think to end the feud the right way, I think Owen Hart should have won the belt.
That was the first video I ever bought. A VHS copy was SummerSlam 94, Bret Owen in the cage.
Adam.
Guys, I'm going to... Oh, God.
said, what's your favorite Bret Hart match?
Oh, Bret Hart, Austin, no doubt. I mean, just because of the storytelling and the fact that Austin lost, but still got over more than Bret Hart did, in my opinion.
Brandy?
It's just a solid match.
Mine would probably be Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect from, I believe it was 92.
Yes, that's right up
there. That was top 3 for me. Yeah.
Wait,
SummerSlam.
Brand, King of the Ring was 93. SummerSlam was 91. Which one? You said 92. Which one were you?
91.
91. Okay.
Yeah.
The one all of us left out that I think was a fairly decent match too, wasn't it? At SummerSlam 92, he defended the Intercontinental title in the main event against the British Bulldog.
It was 92.
Yep.
I do want to
92.
a moment from this topic, guys, because we brought up Benoit, and then, unfortunately, recent news, we all know what happened with Sunny and her drunk driving car accident and the unfortunate death of a man as a result of big topic of conversation right now is, should Sunny be removed from the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Yep.
She murdered someone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, was it intentional? No, but I mean, she made the decision to get behind the wheel. She's the one who drank, and she ended the life. So, it's unfortunate that her life turned out the way it did because she was such a popular figure.
Yeah.
I think she should be. I don't think she will be because people like Hulk Hogan and Donald Trump are still part of the WWE Hall of Fame. Until they're removed and permanently removed from WWE as a whole, I don't think Sunny gets removed.
But Hogan, Sonny, they'll look at what Hogan did compared to what Sonny did.
I mean,
as far as
I'm not saying that what Hogan did to get himself removed is on an equal playing level with what Sonny has done.
As far as what they did for the business too, though, they'll look at that and be like, well, Hogan did the most for the business. But if we remove him, we have to remove a lot of people.
I was going to say, though, Sunny did do something extraordinary for the business. She gave many prepubescent and pubescent males arm strength.
She also gave Bret Hart a lot of sunny days.
Hey!
Oh, God! Oh, you went there.
Damn.
I did.
Speaking of Bret Hart, don't forget about his match with Booker T. He had a good match with Booker T on Nitro.
Hey,
Bret Hart can get a good match out of just about anybody.
Hang on.
I mean, hello, the match with Tom McGee.
Did we switch over to AEW? Because I'm seeing Billy Gunn. Oh, wait, I forgot. Billy Gunn just doesn't age.
No, not at all.
Better now than he did then.
In fact, he looks better. He looks better.
He looks better now.
That man has discovered the fountain of youth, as opposed to Arn Anderson, who discovered the fountain of middle age.
Yeah, but it's not so bad if you look like you're 50 years old when you're 21.
I mean, that's good.
I've always been this damn good looking, for the record, by the way.
I believe it. I believe that 100%.
So, I mean, how much work do you put in every morning to get that toupee on?
Listen, I'm pulling as hard as I can. This is a natural.
I can fake it too.
This is a naturally beautiful main head of hair, which, by the way, looks like I'll be retaining.
Unless one of us
over top guy, retaining, not losing.
Unless one of us is there physically pulling your hair, I'm never going to believe that's not a toupee. But get into that real quick.
We could ask his wife to join us for just a moment and pull.
No, I refuse.
If what you're saying is true, Phil, and that is a toupee, if anybody could yank the hair right off the top of his head, it would be Mrs. Rhode Island Sex God.
Mrs. Rhode Island.
Yes. And there is no way she's appearing on camera. None.
No,
Zero.
Anthony, do us a favor and give us a little bit more info about that. The charity.
About my hair? Well, I was born August 17th, 19. No, you're talking about the little haircut thing I just mentioned?
Yeah, you're
yes.
Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Jackson?
Are you saying that you've had that same
yes.
before?
And I will put this up. I will retweet this thing a little bit later on. But if you go to GoFundMe, Anthony Pires, the Tomorrow Fund, I am raising money for children's cancer throughout the entire month of May. And by the way, today is May 15th. There's only 16 days left. The goal was $2,000. Right now, I'm kind of sitting still at $550. Every dime, every single dime.
And we lost him.
Every single dime.
Every single dime.
That on.
You cut out there in the middle.
Yeah.
You stop.
Oh, sorry. Every single dime that I raise is going to go to the Tomorrow Fund to combat children's cancer. And if, over the next 16 days, I can raise another $1,450, meaning I will be bringing myself to an even $2,000 at Top Guy Weekend in Chicago. All the top guys will make me look just like Phil Jackson, or at least the top of my head to look like Phil Jackson, because I would still be a sexier son of a bitch than that guy.
And here's a fun fact. I don't know how much any of our listeners follow us on Twitter, but I recently had an exchange with who you saw at the beginning of the show, Savage Gentleman Victor Benjamin, who said he would be more than happy to show up at Top Guy Weekend and personally shave that toupee off.
Why that guy hates me so much? He's jealous of me. He's jealous because I eat better peanut butter. His wife finds me better looking, and I've got this head of hair. It's sad. Victor, Savage Gentleman, whatever you want to call yourself.
Oh my God!
Did you just say that his wife finds you more attractive? Lady Frost, Frosted Mini Feets, badass woman, finds you more attractive than her husband.
He
Lady
did.
Frost is roll tide to me.
Say it in a loud and clear voice, Anthony, so we can hear this.
Of course, he has
Preferably with the sound on.
That's
You're
my
not-
gimmick. What are you doing, Anthony? That's
You're
my
not
gimmick.
muted. We okay. All right, that's how you're going to play it. So we're missing this 5-star classic here.
Oh, another match start?
Anything
Wait a minute,
notable
Bret Hart's
about
in this match?
Is there anything notable about this match except for the fact that it's 28 minutes long?
It opened the show.
I like Bradshaw's mustache. That's the only good thing I can say about it.
Apparently, we sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
And then he left. He'll
All
be
right,
back. And
because
great
I'm blue already, I have to be Theodore. Or no, blue one was Simon. Which one of us is
Simon,
Theodore? Which one of us is Alvin?
Theodore's green.
Theodore is green, Alvin is red.
Which means I'm Simon.
There we go.
Well, I guess
Simon,
since
well, you
I'm
all-
wearing green, I get to be
For
Theodore.
a few minutes, but you guys all sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
So clearly you were having technical issues. So I'm going to ask you
Which,
again,
for all of you younger people,
in a loud and clear voice for everyone to hear, you're saying
yes,
that Victor Benjamin's wife, Lady Frost, the woman with the frosted mini feet, the woman with the amazing acrobatic ability, the woman that would definitely kick your ass, my ass, and everyone's asses in this room. You're saying that she finds you, Anthony Pires, more attractive than her husband.
yes. I mean, look at me. Look at me. Brady, come on. Brady, let's get the female perspective.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Thank you. I'm just stating the obvious. I am unqualifyingly sexy, unconditionally sexy. I guess the Savage Gentleman is sexy in a great beard kind of a way. I guess he's sexy in a, perfect physique sort of way. I guess he's sexy in a personality sort of a way.
But
I
you're
guess he's sexy in a handsome
grandpa
face.
kind of way?
I'm a very sexy grandpa type guy, even though I'm not a grandfather.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yet, yeah, that's probably not happening. And I'm okay with that. You know why? I don't want to buy Christmas gifts for a bunch of rugrats. I've spent 20 years buying Christmas gifts for my ungrateful children. I have spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars sending them to private schools, to college. If I never have a grandchild, guess what my wife and I get to do on holidays and on Christmases? We get to just enjoy ourselves. Oh, let's go visit the baby. I don't want to change a grandchild's diaper. I did it. I've changed shit diapers. I don't want to do them again because you know what? Because, hey, I had children. You know what I did as soon as I got to my parents' house? Oh, look, the baby needs a change, and here you go. I'm done. I don't want to wipe ass. I've already wiped ass. I want people to wipe my ass when I get too old.
And that right there is my other show.
And that is my first rant of the day. That is my first rant of the day. No grandchildren.
Guys, we're
You don't.
to our next
How do we
jump.
follow that? You don't. You're my favorite now, Anthony. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I agree 100%.
Go ahead, Henry.
We're actually going to jump from here. I don't know if I'm ahead or behind everybody. I just reached the end of this match in about 22 minutes, 15 seconds.
Yep.
We're now going to jump ahead to the opening bell of the next match that we're covering on the card, which is the Team USA, Team Canada Survivor Series match at 46 minutes, 45 seconds.
You mean we're passing the Truth Commission?
All right. I did not hear what you said. What's the time code?
46 minutes, 45 seconds. It's just before the opening bell of the Team USA, Team Canada match.
I've got it right on here. So while everyone's getting their cocks all set up and adjusted, we decided we're going to do a new thing story last week called the Top Guy Theater Group Chat Text of the Week. And I have one for you. Today, here is our favorite text from the week. And it comes from Adam from Bama. Do you need another D on your chest?
That's right.
I wish that was the first time I've asked her that, too, but it's not.
You want to give any context to that, or you just want to leave it as is?
I'd leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Oh.
And it,
Guys,
it
by the way,
just-
Frank wants to say hi.
Exemplifies the weirdness that is our group chat.
Are we all at 46, 45?
Yes, sir.
All right, then we continue now. Team USA versus Team Canada from the Bell Center, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I wonder who's going to win. In 3, 2, 1, play.
Bret Hart wins.
If Bret Hart wins, there's no Montreal screw job.
No, he wins
I'm
this
just glad
match.
we got Doug Furnace.
He wins this match and every other match because he's in Canada. So clearly he orchestrates all the wins.
So what
Because
is
he
the
has
best part
to
about
be
this match, other than Sable?
Other than Sable.
Probably the smell of Vader's tights.
I didn't say the worst.
What an absolutely horrible makeshift team this is.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
At this point was,
Yeah, okay, because you've got Bulldog,
Mark
you've got
Merrill.
Night Owl, right? Okay, then, so for some reason, who are the guys? Is that the Quebecers or something behind them?
That's Doug Furnace.
No, that is
and,
Doug Furnace and Phil LaFon.
Right.
Fun.
Okay,
Still
'cause
a
the French
fun.
character then. Right.
Hall of
Okay.
Famers.
Right. And then you've got Mark Merrow, Steve Blackman, Vader,
And Goldust.
Goldust. Right.
Fun fact, not a single
Yeah.
member of Team Canada is actually from Canada.
Now, Phil, say that with a straight face this time.
Yeah, it's just kind of thrown together, isn't it? It's really weird.
Yep.
Look at
So would you not think that if Bulldog and Night Owl are there, you would think it's the Hart Foundation, no? But I'm assuming they're all in different stuff. Obviously, Pillman's died at this point, so Brett's in the main
Hart's in
event.
a match
Yeah,
later.
Pillman died a month earlier.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? Whenever I see
Also not
Owen
Canadian.
and Night Owl together, you go, who the fuck are the guys with them? I don't even know them. They're just two guys in blue
And
trunks.
it's weird
Like,
because at the same time, weren't Vader and Bulldog a tag team?
yeah.
Yes, they
No,
were.
it doesn't.
No.
Doesn't make a hell of a lot.
No, they had long broken up by this point.
Okay, yeah.
Well, there's Mrs. Brock Lesnar.
No, right now she's still Mrs. Marrow, but Mrs. Marrow willingly gave her up to Brock Lesnar, and rightfully so.
That's
Is that-
Mr.
Merrill,
Saber.
better
That's
known
not
the
Miss
first time in
Merrill.
WCW as Johnny B. Bad, where he was a multiple-time world television champion and a 3-time New York State Golden Gloves boxing winner, which I think I've heard from Jim Ross like 10,000 times now.
Don't forget, he started every match in 1996.
Yeah. When does Vader get let go from WWF? Is that later on? Is that 98?
Late 98.
The Rumble
He is not in,
But I don't think anything much after that.
I still think he looks pretty good here. I don't think he's looking that bad, but I don't know. It never seemed to happen for him in WWF.
Why
I
was
like
Vader
Vader.
let
Well,
go? I
the-
don't remember. Why was Vader let go?
God.
I think he just got
Injuries
really
really took a toll on this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I remember,
Look at this.
Yokozuna and Vader got sent to like some fat camp to lose weight.
Yes,
Yep.
Duke
And they both started
University.
cheating it basically. So
I thought it was Mark Henry too.
Do they still call
I
them
don't
fat
know.
camps? Fat camps?
I don't know.
No, that was the Duke weight loss clinic.
The weight loss clinic. Aye, sorry.
That's it. The weight loss clinic.
But I'd say at this point,
You know
I
what my
still
favorite
think
weight
Vader looks pretty good.
You know what my favorite weight loss clinic was?
What's that?
My mother's kitchen.
That bad?
Oh, dear God.
I'm curious. Did Jamal cook waffles?
The best thing my mother ever made was reservations. Did my mom cook waffles? I'm not going to lie to you, man. That joke went over this beautiful mane of hair.
No, I didn't know if she cooked waffles.
Okay, so according to what I found in Wikipedia, it was at some point in 1998, Vader became a jobber to the stars, and he would wrestle his last match on television for the World Wrestling Federation on a Sunday Night Heat episode, October the 11th, 1998, a loss to Edge, which he negotiated his own way out of his contract because he wanted to go back to wrestling in Japan.
Yeah.
And Jim Cornette has previously said that part of the reason that Vader's WWF run wasn't as successful as what he hoped it would be was because WWE didn't know how to book him. I think if maybe he rinsed out his tights a little bit more, they'd have made him WWF champion for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And they still don't know how to book guys like Vader.
It's a strange one.
They still don't.
He came in with so much momentum, with WCW, especially how WCW booked him compared to the way that when he came into the WWF. I mean, you can make a parallel like with Brett, right? Brett goes to WCW. They put him as a fucking referee. Like, really?
Yep.
This is a guy with the double.
The guy that should be, I'm sorry. The guy that should be jumping in at Starrcade 97 when we have that to be the man, you must be tan, and they try to fuck over Sting and ruin the finish. The person that just jumped ship from the WWF could make the biggest story of the entire year when that 15-month run falls apart, and all of a sudden Bret Hart beats Hogan clean in the middle of the ring and becomes world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do feel sometimes, though, that like when guys would go from WCW to WWF, they never knew what to do with them. I don't think it was just I don't think it's deliberate sabotage, but I just think sometimes there's maybe a little bit of hesitance as, oh, we don't want to put this guy over because they're from the other company. Like, Vader was an absolute beast, but his matches with Sting are fantastic. Do you know what I mean?
One of my favorite Vader matches is actually from Starrcade 93 with Ric Flair.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think the thing is
but
just
you
whenever...
look at
Sorry, go on.
You look at Vader 1992 to 1993 or even 4 in WCW. The guy just does nothing but over-deliver between the belt. Absolutely over-delivers. You're not going to find a bad match on a major show. And that includes that ridiculous tag team match at Bash at the Beach when him and Sid tried to kill Davey Boy Smith and Sting in the with the
Wasn't
boat.
he also in the Wrestle
Great match.
where Sid Vicious tried to kill Brian Pillman?
No, he was not in that match. He wrestled Stan Hansen on that undercard.
Let me ask you a hypothetical, guys. Who do you think is more gross to wrestle, Vader or Snitsky?
Vader.
Little option A, little option B.
Stinky uniform, huh?
Yeah, Vader, everyone touts about how he never, ever washed his tights. But, several wrestlers nowadays have also mentioned about how gross Snitsky was as far as BO and hygiene and all that stuff. So, which one? I mean, what do you think, Pyrus? Who would you rather spend 10 minutes in the ring with?
Snitsky simply because Vader's reputation. When all things go equal, and they both stink to high heaven, and they're both disgusting people, you got to go with the person who has less of a reputation of hurting you, and that'd be Snitsky, because Vader just annihilated people for the fun of it. He was stiff as hell, looked real, but sometimes a little bit too real. Snitsky, I never got that.
It also hurt.
So I'll take Snitsky. Yeah,
I don't know that that's per se true, because most of Vader's high shiny spots in professional wrestling weren't just in WCW, they were in New Japan. And New Japan wrestles a much more realistic, much harder style than anything does that I'm aware of currently here in the U.S. I think the reason why Vader wrestled so hard was because maybe that's what he got used to. If they're going to legitimately go out and beat on you every night in Tokyo, when you eventually come back to the U.S. and you're performing, for example, at the MCI Center, you're probably going to do what you're used to. And unfortunately, that's going to end up hurting somebody.
It's a that's a fair point, actually. And the thing is, as well, I think Vader should have come in with more than he had, but he never did. I mean, they did something Gorilla Monsoon, and then obviously the thing in Kuwait, which I showed my girlfriend the other day. She'd never seen it, and I was like, "Have a watch of this," and she's like, "Is that real?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." You know, especially with the interview, he says, "Oh, fake," and the Undertaker kind of gives that response, and then Vader's like, I want to answer that question," and the guy's like, "Okay, go ahead," and he's like, "I find that really insulting," and it just turns like that, and he just snatches him, and my girlfriend went, "Jesus Christ," and I went, "Yeah," and I think maybe that probably damaged him a little bit as well, because what stupid things do live on TV, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To boot, though, I want to get back to that thing.
Good.
I was going to say, yeah, I agree. Yes, he did all that strong style, hard-hitting stuff in Japan. He comes over to the United States. At some point in time, you are a professional. You have to, at some point, adapt your game to what it is your boss wants you to do. And we all love Vader WCW, but they never reined him in. I'm sure at some point Vince McMahon sat down with Vader and said, "Hey, this is how we want you to do it." I'm sure Pat Patterson said, "This is how we want you to do it." He just kept being Big Van Vader. And after SummerSlam, when they had that disaster of a match with Shawn Michaels, they just gave up on him at that point because he just wasn't going to adapt. He wasn't going to learn. He was going to do things his way. Well, guess what? You're going to do things your way? Here's the highway.
Speaking of people that don't adapt or learn or do things their way, I believe Henry is ready to map it. Are you ready to go, sir?
Fuck you, Phil.
I'll take that as a yes, and here we go. Let's map it.
Yo ho ho!
Hey!
Blow me down!
Na 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 na.
332 Kitty Hawk, USS Kitty Hawk. This is Namcom State Dr. Roger, over.
The infamous Montreal Screwjob comes up later in this show. We welcome you tonight to Survivor Series 1997 from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Montreal might be very well the oldest city where we've had a WWE event so far. Founded in 1642. It was once called, I'm going to butcher this because I don't primarily speak French. It was once primarily called the city of Ville-Marie, which translates to City of Mary. It has a population of 1,762,949 people, which makes it the largest city in the province of Quebec, in the nation of Canada as a whole, makes it the second largest behind only Toronto. And I believe if you compared it to an American city, it's roughly the size of the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in terms of population. And now the rest of this I'm going to kind of do on the fly because I didn't actually type any of the rest of this up. Montreal is home to the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League, who, like the Cleveland Browns, have continuously existed as one franchise since 1941. At one time, the head coach of the Montreal Alouettes was a man by the name of Marv Levy, who won 2 Grey Cup championships, the equivalent of the Lombardi Trophy in the CFL. He's probably better remembered as a head coach of the Bills those 10 years from 1986 to 1996. This building that we're in tonight is also the home, I think she's taking off her dress, of the Montreal which I'm not prepared to speak as much on because I don't know anything about hockey at all. I'm just going to leave that ship and kind of move on. In this same month, World Championship Wrestling would take part in its annual World War III pay-per-view about 2 weeks after this from the Palace at Auburn Hills on November the 23rd, 1997. its main event match would see Hulk Hogan enter the 60-man World War III Battle Royal to try to keep anybody from winning a shot at his coveted NWO World Heavyweight Championship. But he would ultimately lose in that effort to Scott Hall, who would eventually get his match after the debacle at Starrcade 97 between Hogan and Sting. We should eventually cover that pay-per-view because that's the other major wrestling moment of 1997 that gets completely fucked up to a falderall. Yeah. But that's all I'm going to say about it today. One of the more prominent wrestling persons to come from the city of Montreal, there were several I could pick from. I went with the one that actually has kind of a part to play in this show, Mr. Patterson. Patterson was born Pierre Clermont on January 19th, 1941 in one of the poorer sections of the city of Montreal. He would emigrate to the United States in the 1950s and would be a major staple in multiple wrestling promotions throughout the NWA territories, including a lengthy stint in the AWA of Vern Gagne's, where he was tag team champion. He is better remembered, however, for his almost 40-year run with the World Wrestling Federation in WWE, where as part of the WWE, he would become the very first Intercontinental Champion. He was also a one-time hardcore champion, and at the age of 78, when he beat his buddy Gerald Briscoe to become the WWE 24/7 champion, became the oldest champion, unseating the fabulous Moolah, who at 76 began a third reign with the Intercontinental, with the Women's Championship.
Hey, real quick, I just want to throw in there, don't forget, that Intercontinental Championship win, his first one was no joke. He was in a tournament that lasted days in Rio de Janeiro. Okay, he fought for his.
You were
life.
hanging from the rafters.
He fought for his life for that title.
Right. Yeah. And the good Hulk Hogan is the one that wears the yellow and red, and the bad Hulk Hogan wears the black.
Oh God.
Actually, the good Hogan.
Speaking of, oh God, this match is still going on.
I've got a little bit more, but we're coming toward the end of this match, and I'm
thank God.
Just a minute.
What do you mean, thank God?
Somehow Doug Pyrus is still in the match.
I've never seen anything with British Bulldog in it I didn't like.
Except this.
Really?
You really don't see much of Bulldog in this one.
He's a guilty wrestler of mine.
Oh, I don't think it's a matter of guilty pleasure, but as far as being I don't want to say it all. All right, you know what? I'm going to give this to you, Phil. You know what my low-key favorite Bulldog matches were? You'll never guess.
Go ahead.
Oh God.
No. Don't say okay. I'm not here to make some kind of joke about Marv Levy winning Grey Cups. I'm legitimately going to say I loved Davey Boy Smith's matches at WrestleMania 7 in 1991 and Tuesday in Texas against the Warlord. Call me crazy. I think back then those two had excellent big man matches.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Does anybody actually remember any of the other matches from WrestleMania 7 or this Tuesday in Texas that don't involve the big gangly sumbitch that tells people to say their prayers and eat their vitamins?
Are you ready?
Hulkamania is running wild, brother.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Chronological order. Here's Tuesday in Texas. Bret Hart defeats Skinner to retain the Intercontinental title. Randy Savage pins Jake the Snake Roberts. The third match, Davey Boy Smith defeats Warlord. Fourth match, Repo Man and Ted DiBiase defeat El Matador and Virgil. And finally, Hulk Hogan pins The Undertaker. Fine, that's 5 matches. I'll do one better, WrestleMania 7. The Rockers versus Haku and the Barbarian, opening match. Second match, Kerry Von Erich versus Dino Bravo. Third match would be the aforementioned Warlord versus the Davey Boy Smith. Fourth match on that show, you have got Mr. Oh, sugar, I may have messed that up, but I'll get back to it. I will then go Jimmy Snuka losing to The Undertaker. The Hart Foundation lose the tag team title to the Nasty Boys. Randy Macho Man Savage loses to the Ultimate Warrior. We get to the second half of the show, and we've got Demolition losing to Tenaru and Katao. We've got Mr. Perfect losing by disqualification to the Big Boss Man. You've got Jake the Snake Roberts beating the model Rick Martel in a blindfold match. You've got Earthquake pinning Greg Valentine, the Mountie defeating Tito Santana, Virgil defeating Ted DiBiase by countout, and Hulk Hogan pinning Sergeant Slaughter for the title. Boom!
I'm going to stop you right there for just a second because we've reached the end of this match, thank God. And we are now going to move on to the next match in the card, but we're not going to go straight there. We're going to make a quick time jump to 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 50 seconds. It comes right before the entrance of one of our two participants, and I included it because while he's coming to the ring, that's when the match actually really starts.
Anthony, listening to you put all the matches in order like that, it just sounds like it was. If you listen to it, it sounds like a terrible match. Terrible show.
You're like.
No, I swear to God, it was a great show.
No, just the wins and losses, because you hear the people who won, you're like, well, that just sounds terrible.
How is it?
All the people you think would win actually lost in that pay-per-view.
How is it, Anthony, that you have such a great memory, such a fantastic wrestling knowledge IQ, but still delude yourself into thinking that Lady Frost was anything to do with you?
Before we get an answer to that question, Phil,
thank you.
Time code?
Yes.
1 hour, 13 minutes, and 50 seconds, right?
Yes. And from what I see, the arena should be dark.
I see the fireflies, yeah.
All right. We go from here with Kane and Mankind. We're about to see Kane come out to the ring with Paul Bearer in 3, 2, 1, play.
Beautiful.
I'm going to do a countdown.
Oh, shh.
Okay.
That's gotta be Kane! That's gotta be Kane! It is Kane.
And I offer you some proof, legal proof. Nick Mills, please say no to crack next time you get up from your chair, please.
Oh, no, it's all right. My dog's just vomited all over the bed, so I'm going to clean this up.
If you look closely at the Wells report that wrongly convicted Tom Brady, at no point in time do they prove anything. Everything they do is speculation. So I'm going to say the same thing. Since their whole thing is absence of evidence, is in fact evidence, which of course you and I both know it is not. We all know that Roger Goodell, under pressure from the rest of the league to somehow stop this freight train of success that is the New England Patriots, had to come up with, conjure, conject, make up, fabricate, and fornicate evidence against the mighty New England Patriots. And of course, how did that turn out? How many championships did we win after the alleged Deflategate? I'll give you the answer. 1, 2, 3. But that's not what I'm saying. There was evidence. There was the phrase they used was lack of evidence is evidence. So therefore, let me point out that Lady Frost has never, ever, ever once said that she wasn't in love with me. Therefore, she's in love with me.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
Amen.
Whatever, man. Just whatever.
I mean, technically, she never said that she didn't love me either. So, I mean, if we're using
come on, Adam. No offense whatsoever. You're a nice guy. I like you a lot. But let's be really honest. Women do not flock to you. They flock away from you. You are the friend zone king. You are the woman that people introduce to their parents because you seem safe.
Did you Phil?
We're having technical difficulties here.
I have been mute.
We're getting a lot of bullshit on this end. I don't know if it's cutting in or out. I'm hearing a lot of bullshit here.
And I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter because Adam from Bama didn't invite me to be on Kickout Crew. No. Let's have James Elkerai that couldn't spell cat if you spot on the C and the T and told him the middle letter was a vowel, for God's sakes. And can you hear me? Is my internet good? What the hell is?
I would love to have you on there. I would love to have you. If it was my call, you would be on there.
Much like Thanksgiving dinner with my family, I wasn't invited.
What's up?
I got a phone call from Brad. Say, hey, do you want to do a podcast? Yeah, let's do it. And that's what I went with. I'd love to have you on there.
I'd love, no, because now I'm second choice. Now I'd be second choice, and that hurts my feelings. I'm a very sensitive, delicate human being. You guys all know that. I'm a nice man. I'm charitable. Hey, Henry, Henry, screw you. I'm the guy that bought a copy of We Are the World. Of course, it was from the dollar bin at the used record thing, but still, I bought a copy of We Are the World. I contributed. I'm raising thousands, well, at least at this point, hundreds of dollars for children's cancer. And I have a beautiful head of hair. And I have a beautiful head of hair. And you guys all sitting there mocking me. Ha, 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 ha. Listen.
Anthony, let's go do our own thing. Me and you go start our own deal.
Well, aren't you like on 9 different podcasts already?
I'm on 2.
2. Well,
he's on the A Show and he's on Kick Out Crew.
Yeah, that's a good point. But by the way, in all fairness, Adam, I think Kick Out Crew 3rd episode, you guys are really starting to hit the stride. I was a little, I'll be honest with you, I can say it now. 1st episode, okay, that was a little tough to listen to. And I love you. I love all you guys. I love you guys. If I could adopt all of you guys and chain you up in my dungeon, I would. But the fact of the matter is that 1st episode was rough. Not bad, but just rough. I think you guys hit a stride.
I was talking to Justin Davis about it. I said, hey, if you want to listen to 2 or 3, skip 2 and go straight to 3. 3 is our best way.
I was going to tell you, 3 seems to be a good number for starting shows and really hitting your stride, because the 3rd episode of the original Top Guy Theater was the most watched show of the original Top Guy Theater for almost its entirety. And it just happened to be the show where yours truly debuted, WrestleMania 3. Fantastic show to watch. I can't recommend it enough. You also get to see a fine, sexy gentleman by the name of Matt Levitt, who has also made his Top Guy Theater debut. It was a fun time.
How many views you got there, Phil? Oh, Henry, what do you got?
I actually wasn't finished with my mapping.
Oh, sorry.
I'm trying to dive back in here, but then you went down that rant, and I had to hear it through to the end.
Oh, I got another one coming up later.
I'm sure you do.
God.
Before we get to that one,
I'm sure you do.
I did want to finish up a little bit about City of Montreal by continuing with Pat Patterson here. Pat Patterson was married, for lack of any better turn of phrase, because unfortunately same-sex marriage has only been legal nationally for about 10 years now. His former partner, Louis Dondero, was a man he spent 40 years of his life with, who died the night of King of the Ring 1998, June 28th, 1998. In his time and tenure through all of the various wrestling promotions, I'm not going to go through all of them because some of them are NWA-specific titles to territories. It probably won't make sense to a lot of younger people. But alongside Ray Stevens, Pat Patterson was the AWA World Tag Team Champions once. He was in big-time wrestling out in San Francisco, the holder of the San Francisco versions of both the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship and the NWA World Tag Team titles. He was their U.S. champion 5 times and was an 11-time holder of that NWA World Tag Team title. The NWA World Tag Team Championships that are recognized now by the NWA came into existence in 1992 when, for all effective intents and purposes, the National Wrestling Alliance was Ted Turner's World Championship Wrestling. He is an inductee of the WWE Hall of Fame. In the previous year's Survivor Series in 1996, when they're in Madison Square Garden, they talk about, or they show the image of Patterson being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I believe, if I remember right, 1996 was the last time they did the ceremony until 2003 or 2004 when they brought it back.
Correct.
As a member of New Japan Pro Wrestling, he won the NWA North American Tag Team Championships, which was apparently a version of that belt shared between the Los Angeles territory and New Japan Pro Wrestling with a wrestler by the name of Johnny Powers. He was... I neglected to mention when we were talking about the WWE title. He was also the North American Heavyweight Champion, which he held during that long 25-day tournament where people were hanging from the rafters to unify that belt with the South American Heavyweight Championship to form the Intercontinental title. He's in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. He was a member of the class of 2006 with the as a member of the Blonde Bombers alongside his former tag team partner Ray Stevens. and was the World Championship Wrestling IWA World Tag Team Champion, the wrestler by the name of Art Nelson. That championship is not the same as the WCW that we know and love. It was actually a promotion in Australia. He was also the winner of one of Dave Meltzer's fake awards. He won the title for Match of the Year in 1981 for a match with Sergeant Slaughter in a street alley fight at Madison Square Garden on April 21st, 1981. He was also in the worst match of the year in 2000 at King of the Ring versus his good buddy Gerald Briscoe. That was at the Fleet Center in fabulous Boston, Massachusetts. And to wrap this up real quick, the previous year's Survivor Series, as I mentioned a moment ago, was at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Its main event would see Shawn Michaels lose the WWE title to Psycho Sid. And I'm not going to go into great depth about Survivor Series 1998. If you like that, please go check it out in the archives. I can't make myself be quite that.
Is somebody in a windstorm?
Not me. My fan's off. I'm good. But may I say something about Patterson's that Meltzer award he got?
No.
Be my guest.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to impart my wisdom, allowing you people to sit under the umbrella of knowledge. Okay. That 1981.
What do you mean, you people? What does that mean?
You mean you people?
What do you mean, you people?
You know, all right, fine. All right. I apologize.
You see that from the Irish?
I would like to thank you nobodies, you nothings, you lesser than me.
That's better. Thank you.
I for one want to hear what you guys say.
Thank you. I would go out of your way, if you are listening to the sound of my melodious voice, go to either YouTube or the network. That alley street fight with Sergeant Slaughter from Madison Square Garden is an awesome brawl. Absolutely fantastic feud, fantastic match. It was a bloodbath from the word go. Outstanding. So, and that's just me. That's me. Yeah, Madison Square Garden, 81 or 82. I forget the exact year, but I think it's on WWE Old School. If not, YouTube will have it. Just a great match, and you forget how great a worker Sergeant Slaughter was.
Yep. Sergeant Slaughter, it should be noted, was, I believe, the AWA World Heavyweight Champion. No.
He was the WWE champion. He was the AWA America's champion.
I remembered that wrong because we talked about it in an old episode in the archives. 18 months before he would beat the Ultimate Warrior to become WWE champion, he was part of that god-awful Team Challenge series that Virgil was trying to use.
Oh, dear God.
Yes. I was about to say, AWA Team Challenge, low-key, probably one of my top 3 favorite episodes of Top Guy Theater ever.
Now we've reached the end of this match. I think everybody should have by now, I hope.
This was a great fight. This was a great fight. Not a match, fight.
One of the things that Phil didn't mention is that we have a special surprise at the end of Survivor Series 1997.
Well, if I mentioned it, it wouldn't be a surprise.
At the end of the last match. But I teed that up that way to say it like this. This is the last time jump that we are going to make in Survivor Series 1997. We are going to go ahead now to 2 hours, 4 minutes even. You're going to see Stone Cold Steve Austin shit-talking with the Hart Foundation, Team Canada, whatever the heck they're called, outside the ring as Mike Chioda gets ready to hold up the Intercontinental title. And we are going from here to the end of the show. So I'll give everybody a second to catch back up to get to that time code. Skip.
What's time code again?
2 hours.
2 hours, 4 minutes, even.
Oh, okay. Great.
Look at that beautiful bald head. It looks just like Anthony Pires' head.
Look, God, I hate you. I hate every single one of you. But you know what? I don't hate you guys. Let's do the time. Let's do the 3, 2, 1, and then I'll tell you how much I hate you guys.
Let me get a little bit further ahead here because my peacock is on the fritz.
So what you're saying is your cock is not working.
God, Brandy, you beat me to it.
I take back what I said a second ago. You're going to see Stone Cold Steve Austin's head if you freeze it at exactly 2:04, turning out and looking at the crowd. About 10 seconds before that, you see him doing that with Team Canada. And then Mike Chioda walks over, I think, to grab the belt from Owen Hart. But if we have all reached 2 hours, 4 minutes, this is the run to the end of Survivor Series 1997 in 3, 2, 1, play.
There's that iconic "I just broke your neck" T-shirt.
How do y'all feel about him using that incident to make money off a T-shirt?
Yeah, that's a really polarizing shirt. I mean, but if you look at it though, they did something similar with CM Punk breaking Seth Rollins breaking John Cena's nose.
I did read in. I was going to say I did read in Martha's book that apparently Owen did not like that at all. Like that was like one of the big points that he was quite upset was that they were making him wear that shirt as they figured.
I can see him not liking that. I can see that.
Yeah, and I think like that was around the time they're trying to get him. I think a little bit later after this, just trying to get him like having an affair with Deborah, and he just kept turning stuff down. So they put that blue blazer gimmick on him. But the thing is, the reason why they did that was because he kept refusing to do stuff because he wasn't comfortable with the product. I mean, Brett's the same way. Brett talks about it a lot, that he wasn't comfortable with the Attitude Era. But obviously, it's the one that made the most money. And at that point, with MTV and hip-hop and everything else, that was kind of the rebellious attitude. And it made money. So, it's one of them, isn't it?
And the crazy thing is, the Attitude Era, they say, started right after this pay-per-view. That's when they started doing the whole stretch logo and everything.
Starts here, I think, Adam, with what we're going to see later on in the show. This is a return match from SummerSlam 1997. At that pay-per-view, Owen Hart would accidentally break Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck. He botched a pile driver, an accident that ultimately, you could make the argument that it shortened Stone Cold's career. I don't know what other health problems he might have been having in that same time in 1990.
Oh, I think it did. I think it did, definitely.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
If you'll recall, I believe it's one of the things that sets up the infamous incident at Madison Square Garden where he has to forfeit the Intercontinental title back to McMahon. And when he does, he stuns the boss for the first time, even though it still hasn't been fully revealed yet that Vince McMahon is the chairman of the WWE.
Yeah. It is amazing. It pretty much nearly finished his career, didn't it? I mean, they were quite creative in the sense that they used him on camera and he wasn't really wrestling a lot, if you know what I mean. And then by the time he was wrestling, he sort of had to change his whole style. It could have finished him off. I mean, he was at that point, he was one of the biggest stars we ever had. I mean, after Hulk Hogan, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, and yet that could have finished him off. And they were quite creative in the way they sort of filmed around that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, because they spent months just having him go out there and drop a stunner.
Oh,
there was no matches. He would go out there, kick a guy in the stomach, stunner, middle fingers. That's all we needed. That's all we needed at that point. There was nothing. At the end of the day, Steve Austin is not what you'd call a great worker. He gave us what we wanted to see. An ass kicker who flipped off his boss and dropped some MFers with stunners. That's it. That's all we needed.
Anthony, I need you to come back on here again when Frank is here and tell him that. Because Frank has publicly said on this show that Stone Cold Steve Austin was overrated and he was boring and it was the same shit. And he about gave me a stroke.
But what is he? All right, define the word overrated. Define the word overrated. Hulk Hogan was a terrible worker who sold 100,000 tickets in Detroit.
Hogan was a good showman. Even though in his WWF days, Hulk Hogan was entirely predictable. One match ended the same as all the others. It would look like the heel has him beat. They're going to win the title. Then Hulk Hogan immediately gets his second win, does the finger thing, hits him 3 times, clothesline, leg drop, 1, 2, 3. Hogan keeps the title. However, for the 80s and 90s, that worked. It stopped working when he went to WCW because that couldn't buy it. But for what Vince needed in the 80s, that worked. That being said, I'm not saying I disagree with you. I think Hulk Hogan was kind of overrated. But
bell to bell.
Steve Austin's a better wrestler, I think.
Of course, bell to bell. Who's a better? Let's simplify this. Bell to bell. Who's a better worker? I want you all to answer this. Brad Armstrong or the Ultimate Warrior?
Brad Armstrong, 100%.
Armstrong.
Okay. Who was the better showman?
Ultimate Warrior.
Who told better stories?
I don't think Brad Armstrong.
Oh, it's the Warrior. I love Brad. It's the answer to every question I give you from here on in will be the Ultimate Warrior. Who did you care about more?
I don't think Brad Armstrong ever got his due to actually shine, because there have been stories about how he can do impressions of everyone, how he can do one accent to another. And, if he ever really got, I think Brad Armstrong was born too early. If he were born, if he were wrestling in the 90s in his prime, the dude would have been a star.
Sure, but he's still, yeah. If they allowed him to shine the way he could, but when he went out there and just tried to cut a promo, he was Bullet Barbara Armstrong's kid. And I'm gonna go check out what happened when 1986, 87. Every time the Armstrong family would be on that camera, God damn, it was old man Bob Armstrong that was killing Brad on the microphone. That old man knew his charisma. Brad didn't. No offense to him. And by the way, this match is over already. That was quick.
4 minutes. It was 4 minutes long.
While you were going through that, the rest of Team Canada came in the ring and tried to beat down Austin. And Austin builds more heat by taking out the hometown heroes, so to speak, which is laughable because the only person that came out to the ring that was actually from Canada in that group was Owen Hart.
In fairness, Bulldog and Neidhart were married to Canadians.
Yeah, I was... but when it comes to Austin as a wrestler, I always thought he changed his style up well enough. I mean, the connection with the crowd was unbelievable. I grew up with the Austin period. He was absolutely incredible. But I think, a lot of his matches, especially stuff like Kurt Angle later on, they're all sleepers. I mean, they're really, really good. But I think it kind of gets caught up in, that period instead of specific matches. The 3 Stages of Hell match he had with Triple H, unbelievable. Great. But, he had to completely change his style up. I guess it's all at the end of the day. You talk about Hulk Hogan and stuff. I think it's all just part of the course. I think Hulk Hogan was all right at what he did, but it's not for everybody. Do you know what I mean? But who had the better connection with the crowd? Austin, Hogan. Or The Rock. Rock wasn't the greatest wrestler either, but did what he needed to do.
I was about to say, I'm sorry, Anthony, because in that same ranch, when we talked about Austin, you also said The Rock was overrated. And that one, even more than Austin, how can you say that the most charismatic man probably to ever step foot in the ring, who went on to be the most popular movie star in the fucking world, is overrated?
Yeah.
Well, on that same token, because I want Pyrus's and I want Nick Mills's take on this. It's been a running theme the last few shows, and it's one of the reasons why I left that Kane Mankind match in.
Oh God!
Bill Jackson has publicly said, for the record, on this show that he only becoming WWE champion at all devalues the WWE title.
All right, defend that one, Phil.
Okay,
defend it, Phil.
So I'm just going to summarize because I don't want to go the whole spiel again.
Thank you.
The way they booked Mankind's world title run was terrible. They played hot potato with it on The Rock. Mankind's world title run was meaningless. And I'm saying this because what they should have done is either have Mankind hold on to that title all the way to Mania and have a triple threat with The Rock and Austin, or Mankind never wins that title at all. The Rock stays champion all the way to Mania, which gives Austin the win for that title that much more weight.
So you're saying it's not necessarily the man, but the circumstance. Absolutely. Is that what you're getting?
That is 100% correct.
Okay, fine. I'm not going to argue with you, Phil, because that's a strong opinion. Because when I heard you say that, and I heard there was a Twitter bit thing about how he said, I thought you thought Foley himself devalued the title.
No, absolutely not.
I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you. That's because okay. I honestly thought that Foley having that feud with The Rock helped bring out The Rock's aggressive side. I'm going to say this. Rock needed the type of match he had, that I Quit match that we all hate in retrospect. We all hate it in retrospect, but he needed a brutal match like that to make him more ready to take on Austin at WrestleMania. Because, yeah, he won the title because Vince rang the bell at Survivor Series 98. But at that point, he was just a cocky, young son of a bitch jerk that was just ordinary champion. We needed an aggressive side, and he had to show that aggressive side in the I Quit match. And to give him a reason to be that way, he couldn't be champion. So I'm gonna throw that as my rebuttal example, but I'm not gonna call you out for saying that Foley, under the circumstances, devalued the title. I'll call you out for a lot of things: your baldness, your ugliness, your takes. But I think you're okay in this regard.
Let me
give you a pass.
What changes if all those matches occur?
Oh, I think you are now muted there.
The what happens if all those changes occur but The Rock still has the title?
You're saying like at WrestleMania 15, instead of Austin going over, The Rock retains the title?
Oh, no. Austin still wins the title. But what I mean is the whole feud with Mick Foley. What changes? What changes if The Rock doesn't get beat by Mick Foley, has that title, and has all of those matches with The Rock?
I think if I look at it from the other side, if Foley doesn't win the title the first time on Monday Night Raw, which is taped, I don't think the finger poke of doom ends badly for WCW. I don't think you get those people switching over to see The Rock retain against Mick Foley. I think strictly speaking, from the other channel side, if they have that match on Monday Night Raw, The Rock beats Foley, keeps the title. It's a pre-tape show from a week ago. Nobody fucking cares. You can read about it in Dave Meltzer's dirt sheet. But the number of people that switched over to see Foley, who rightfully, in my own opinion, probably deserved to be WCW World Heavyweight Champion, even for a short run, because of the epic work that he did in both that company and ECW and ultimately in WWE. He deserved a shot at the big gold belt. Never got it. I think, if my memory serves me right, he was ECW World Heavyweight Champion for a little bit.
He never won that title. Never won that title.
Did he wrestle for it?
I believe he wrestled Mikey Whipwreck for the title, and Whipwreck scored a fluke victory.
Okay, so he at least contended for it.
Yeah.
But in my mind's eye,
when Bret Hart comes out, we're going to track his entrance.
Okay.
But I personally feel like, in my mind's eye, I don't know that the reformation of the NWO. I don't know that Hogan just poking Kevin Nash in the chest and retaining the WCW, or winning back the WCW World Heavyweight title and fucking over Bill Goldberg. I don't know if that hurts WCW as much, because those same people that would have changed the channel to see Foley win the title would have probably stayed with Monday Nitro. Could that have ultimately led to something that let WCW stay alive longer than it ultimately does? Probably not. But I don't think the finger poke of doom would be remembered nearly as badly without Foley winning the title. To your point, should Foley have fought for it at WrestleMania? No. And I'll tell you why I think that. A triple threat match for the World Heavyweight title isn't the world's worst idea if it is done right. The problem is that you're presenting Austin as your anti-bad guy, good guy. He's not really either. Fits closer into that mold of a good guy than a bad guy, as we watch Shawn Michaels crotch hump the flag of Canada.
Let me interrupt you. We're about to have Bret Hart's intro. Let's track this so we can get back into it.
Okay.
But I can't say I don't disagree with a lot of what you're saying.
Wow.
Disrespecting the make-believe, obviously, we apologize for that to our friends and our fans in Canada. Michaels is very arrogant, but he is the greatest athlete in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, bar none. I'd like to see you tell Bret Hart that.
What a sign.
I always loved that bum 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 when they would go backstage.
That build up, yeah, that build up.
Feels like a big time match as well.
And when they went back to the ring and showed HBK there, you could see Earl Hebner just kind of pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
Remember, he just found out about this.
You see, Bret Hart has no idea. He's walking to the ring like he has no idea.
See, the thing is, what I love is the fact the camera would follow the guys to the ring. It felt like, like how in boxing they do that, or the UFC they do that. That's what I really like. It's just a unique touch on that. It felt like a big main event.
It's human. It's a human element.
It wasn't something that they did a lot, though, that I can recall until WCW did it ad nauseum with Bill Goldberg when they'd be escorted out to the ring by the police.
Here it comes. Look at the look on Brett's face. Look at the look on his face. He just has this suspicion, because they talked about him, don't let him put any submission holds or anything like that. You can see on his face that he is concerned about this match.
Oh, it must have been terrible for both of them, because you've got one guy that's being told you're going to have to do this, and if you're Brett, you're about to leave the company. You've spent 14 years there, and it's like you're about to go into this match that you have no idea what's going to happen. To get inside their heads would be incredible, wouldn't it? Just the amount of pressure that these guys were under as well.
Look at Earl Hebner. He's got his hands on his hips. He's looking around. He's like,
he's going out of his mind because he's like, I just can't believe what they want me to do, what they just told me I have to do.
I can't blame him. I can't blame Earl Hebner for this.
No.
You got to take care of your family.
Yep. By the way, Bret Hart's theme song, low key, one of the best of all time, probably top 10.
Before you cry about Brett, let's not forget he walked out of a deal where they weren't gonna pay him his contract into how much did he make in WCW? About $4 million over 3 years.
$3 million.
I can't cry for him.
Well, I don't know. It's not that they're crying for him. It's just the fact of if you've worked somewhere for 14 years and then the other guy goes, I'm not fucking putting him over. So you go, well, fuck you then. I'm not doing it. And then basically when it comes to, he had creative control in this contract. It's not as if he was, asking for something unreasonable. He's like, listen, I'm not dropping it to this prick when he turns around to me and tells me no. So I don't know. I can see both sides of it, to be fair. I'm assuming a lot of it just came down to paranoia. It's the fact they felt like Brett would have done that. But I don't think he would.
Here's something that nobody ever even glosses over this that much anymore. Do you know who the real culprit, the person to blame more than anybody else for this whole scenario was, which would never have occurred? Alundra Blaze.
Jim Ross.
Yeah.
Blaze,
if she hadn't taken the belt with her and dropped it in the trash can,
this would never have occurred. Brett would have been allowed to win this match, forfeit the title, let it go, whatever he wanted to do, and given the send-off that he probably deserved.
I don't know that he wins this match, even if that never happens, because if you're going out the door, you're supposed to do business and put the other guy over.
Right.
But they've talked about before how this match is supposed to end in a schmazz finish.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I could see Hart retaining the title without a clean 1, 2, 3. And then I think the way that the story's told, the next night they go on to the, I don't actually know what the hell the building's called, but they go on to they remain in Canada.
Yeah.
Brett screwed Brett. No one talks about Alundra Blaze, and
but the primary difference with Alundra Blaze is that at the time she went to WCW, she wasn't under contract with McMahon.
Right.
No, they fired her. They fired her.
Taking the title away from her before she left.
Right.
Yep.
Alundra Blaze, Eric Bischoff swears up and down. There have been two sides of this conversation for years. Alundra says Eric told him to. Eric says he didn't give a shit, didn't tell her to. As much as I love Eric Bischoff as a human being and as a creative mind in the wrestling business and just as a great conversationalist, if I'm an Eric Bischoff, if I'm in his shoes and Alundra Blaze tells me I've got the WWF Women's Championship, I would have been like, bring that shit on WCW. Let's drop the, let's drop it in the trash can and set the trash can on fire.
Oh, and I think in one of the books, literally, the passage is she makes her deal with Bischoff, and then she says to him, "What do I do with the belt?" His answer was like, "You've still got the belt." She's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Bring it to TV." Yep. I don't think he didn't sign her under the prefaces that she was going to do that, but a happy happenstance, if you will, was that he just happened to find out in conversation that she had it.
Right.
But yeah, you're right.
I was going to say, though, what I really like about this match, though, if you just watch, Brett throws Shawn into the crowd. At this point, he's humped the Canadian flag, so it's also pretty fucking dangerous at this point that they're throwing him into the crowd. It's almost rabid. It's a rabid crowd.
Yeah, look
There was
at
a guy.
look at Yoda right there.
It's a shame that Canadians are so nice, otherwise he would have got shanked.
You can see that.
Wow,
but if you
Jesus.
see Patterson and all them there, it feels like a brawl. It feels like a fight. It doesn't feel like a wrestling match. It's like these two guys hate each other so much that they're just beating the absolute crap out of each other and going into the crowd and what have you. It's really well set up.
And there's Pat Patterson.
Yep.
Look how small the floor area is between the ramp, between the front row and the ring.
There's Vince McMahon and Sergeant Slaughter being out there already, automatically I'm thinking, what's going on?
Well, the way that they portray it on the broadcast, if you listen to the audio, I
Right.
think Jim Ross makes mention of the fact that these two guys hate each other's guts.
Yep.
And at that time, that was both, you said that for TV, but you actually really thought listening to them tell the stories back that they fucking hated each other.
Yep.
And they're out there, remember, because the match hasn't begun yet.
The crowd was going to get rabid on them. They got to do something to protect their assets, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. It's really well built up, and the fact as well is like not you could even make the argument, like I've never seen it in wrestling since, where you have essentially two guys that aren't really good guy or bad guy. They're just, it was almost like you either sided with one or the other. Do you know what I mean? They were kind of in the middle because they were both right in their own way, or the other percent they're both wrong in their own way. If you
I'm sorry, real quick. I will say, and this is something that TJ said multiple times on the previous iteration of the show. Shawn Michaels, 97, 98, 96, is a flaming pile of garbage for a human being. He's a terrible human being.
He's the Sonny of human. He's the Sonny of men.
Great performer. Still professional in the ring. Absolute trash human being.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels on his return, great, changed man. Still putting on great matches. But if you're reading the dirt sheets and you know what kind of human being Shawn Michaels is, or have an idea from Meltzer, whoever the fuck ever, because I don't know why I even said his name, because fuck Dave Meltzer, but
fuck Dave Meltzer. Fuck Dave Meltzer.
If you have that insider's view, don't you kind of want to lean towards Brett, even though you know he's leaving?
Yeah,
you're in Canada. It wouldn't make sense, even if Bret Hart's going out the door, because he's still got a month under contract before he would go to work for Bischoff as things stand before this match goes to the ring tonight.
Yep.
You could conceivably work it out to where he gives up the title the next night on Monday Night Raw. He could drop it to somebody else in that 30-day period. There was even discussion that he could stay on as long as the Royal Rumble in 1998 and drop it on a major pay-per-view. I don't know how well that would have worked out. But there were.
I said, worst case, put him in the ring with Ken Shamrock. That'll solve the problem right there.
The thing that I really
like, Shamrock would have been happy being a transitional champion.
Of course.
The thing that I really liked about this, though, is that, do you know what I mean? You see everybody surrounding it. It doesn't feel like a wrestling match. It feels like a fight. Like, it does feel like. I remember I was watching Khabib and McGregor, right? In the UFC when they had that big brawl at the end. I mean, it was obviously unbelievable. It was bad for the UFC and what have you. But you knew that there was a real fucking tension between the two of them, and that spilled over. And it's almost like this match has got the same feeling. It's like these two guys hate each other so much that they're having to have all these guys surround the ring. It just makes it really unique. It's just something I haven't seen a lot since, where you've got two guys that aren't good guy, aren't bad guy. Shawn is widely despised. Brilliant character, as you say, but not a great guy. And then you've got Brett, who's the Canadian hero, who's looking a little bit like, oh, Jesus Christ, something's going to happen here. And they're just beating the crap out of each other. It's not a match, and it fits the build-up of what they're doing.
I'll go one further. I'll even. It's funny how much importance they put Brett or Shawn put on the belt here, because let's not forget, everybody knew this on this night, November the 9th, 1997. Everybody knew whoever came out of this match as champion was a transition to Stone Cold. Everyone knew from at the end of WrestleMania 13, everybody knew WrestleMania 14 was going to be Austin's night. It just
I don't know how true that is. I really don't. I feel like if he doesn't get hurt at if Michaels doesn't get hurt at the Royal Rumble, I don't know that. Part of me wants to disagree with that because I don't know that HBK loses the title at WrestleMania. I think he defends it against Austin. And I think
you can, with respect, you cannot have Austin have the build that he had, including the injury. Because bear in mind, all regard, he still gets hurt at SummerSlam. You can't have him go all that way and fail against Michaels on that night. If that happened, Austin would have been as dead as Sting was after Starrcade '97, and Sting won the match.
Let me throw this in there real quick. Denying Austin a championship win at Mania would have been the equivalent of more modern denying Daniel Bryan his yes movement win at WrestleMania, because Daniel Bryan was not going to main event WrestleMania until but the way the crowd got behind him, they literally had no choice but to throw him in there, because Batista did not get the reception he deserved. They expected at Rumble. Daniel Bryan was so fucking hot. They just could not deny him that. And the same with Austin. Austin was making money. Everyone was talking about Stone Cold, Austin 316. If you had denied Austin that win at Mania, you would have lost fans. They would have
that day. Yep.
They would have gone to WCW.
Mm-hmm. That would have company been dead on a plate full of piss. Also, remember too, as of WrestleMania 14, they were still losing the 83 weeks Monday Night Battle. It wasn't until about a month after Austin wins the title. Yes, the momentum was building. Yes, they were closing the gap. Yes, things were going good. Austin fails. You're back to square one.
J.J. Dillon has been I'm paraphrasing the quote here, but he's been quoted as saying something along the lines of, whatever Mike Tyson appeared on the screen, they said he had told somebody, do you hear that? That's the tide changer, or something to that.
Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan. I said J.J. Dillon. Wow, I meant Kevin Sullivan. I'm so sorry. Sorry to insult you, Kevin Sullivan. But
Kevin Sullivan, I think, said to Bischoff, "You hear that, Eric? You hear that, Eric? That's the tide turning."
Yep.
And the tide
That's
began
the
to
tide
turn.
theft in there, Eric.
And the tide began to turn only because Mike Tyson was such a reviled figure at the time. McMahon figured he could make money with him. And it turned out that the night that he first came on Raw after the Royal Rumble, getting into that fist fight with Steve Austin was the rocket that made it take off. But part of me still wants to argue that if Michaels is healthy and Michaels can still go, I'll be honest, I agree with you. WWF's momentum stops dead in the water if Austin doesn't win the title at WrestleMania 14. But if Michaels could have kept going,
you'd have had some great return matches.
Yeah.
Austin, you could have Michaels win the belt back a month later at the Unforgiven pay-per-view. On March 29th, 1998, Stone Cold had to win that match. That was there was no question in my mind.
Can I make a point though? See this crowd? I've never realized this. They pull that screw job. It's almost riotous, this crowd. You see Shawn there when he was leaning on them and mocking them, and there's about 6 or 7 guys that rush towards the ring. He was fucking hated. Hated here.
Which is why they got him the hell out of there as soon as the bell rang.
This is why it's such a ballsy thing to do in the first place, is do something like that in front of a crowd like that, because you can see it's almost riotous.
Yeah, you had to think.
Look at this.
This man must have really he had to have weighed that in.
And he's smiling again.
Yeah, he had to have weighed that in, because it's not only are they going to completely screw over Bret Hart, but they're going to do it in his hometown with that crowd. I mean, again, Canadians are the nicest human beings on the planet. They wouldn't hurt a fly. But
except for the French Canadians.
Had that been anything other than a Canadian crowd, imagine if that were ECW.
If this had been a match in ECW, there probably would have been a riot.
There would have been a riot. There would have been stabbings. It would have been awful. Like every chair in the ring, the ring gets set on fire.
But imagine this match being held, say, in Baltimore or Albany or at Madison Square Garden. I think Nick makes a very good point. You hold this match anywhere else, I don't know that you get this kind of a crowd response.
You don't.
The thing
You
is,
don't.
Shawn
You don't.
Michaels, he's humped the Canadian flag. He's just snapped it there in half. He spat on a fan earlier. I mean, he's doing everything he needs to do in order to get this crowd riled up. But at the same time, when they pulled that bullshit at the end, you're thinking to yourself, what are you thinking? Because this crowd could immediately turn. I mean, it's mental that you think about it now. I just didn't realize how sort of not rebellious, what's the word I'm looking for? Heated the crowd were. The crowd are almost riotous. They are. Every time Shawn Michaels is doing anything in this match, you've got 6-7 guys rushing the ring. It's unbelievable.
If this were a soccer crowd, there would have been a big problem.
Oh, it's. I mean, listen, I follow Man United.
Match.
Some of the crowds are almost riotous. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
We'll never, ever see anything again like this in wrestling. I think the closest thing we've ever had, that I'm not even closest because it's not really a screw job, but kind of one of those holy shit, this person went to that company moment was when Cody went back to WWE just, a couple months ago, 5 months ago, when anyone in this chat or at all said, yeah, Cody's going to be in WWE at a WrestleMania match with Seth Rollins. Nope.
Corporately, he was the face of that company.
Do you know the closest thing I would think of having a crowd like that was probably that Chicago crowd with Punk and Cena?
Oh, God.
Yep.
I wanted so bad to be at that match. Mike Cole was there. That is my, if I have a time machine and can go back to the front row of one match in my life, it would be that match.
Speaking of which,
I would say the one night stand one as well between Cena and Rob Van Dam. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was almost vicious. And the thing is, it does make for a better show, I feel, when you've got a crowd like that. But also at the same time, it could just turn like that. And the thing about this Montreal thing, when you're watching it now, is the fact that most of them are on Bret's side. Like, there's not one person there for Shawn. And Shawn's winding them up and he's pissing them off. And they're getting more and more worked up. It's a great crowd. It's just obviously the ending is what it is. But I never realized watching this just how close that crowd are for something kicking off, There
have actually been a couple of signs I saw just a second ago before they changed the angle. Somebody was holding up a sign that said, "Good luck in WCW, Brett." And somebody on the backside, going back toward where the announcers' tables are, held up a sign that said, "The NWO and Bret Hart is just too sweet." That was about 5-10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there is a big chunk of this crowd because Bret Hart was the World Wrestling Federation for so long. There's a chunk of this crowd, too, that even if they're not pro Shawn Michaels, it's hard to say that they're pro Bret Hart because a lot of people felt like he was selling Vince McMahon out, rightly or wrongly. But
Vince did a great job presenting himself as the underdog, as the babyface underdog in these things.
Let me ask you this. So this match up to this point has been nothing short of spectacular. Shawn's doing all the right stuff to get heat. Brett's, the hometown hero. They're putting on another clinic because these two always have great matches. Let's say Brett's not leaving WWE, and this match still happens. Shawn still wins, or Brett still wins, or whatever. The outcome doesn't matter. Does this match go down as one of the greatest matches of all time, minus the screw job?
This could easily be a 5-star match if not for the screw job.
It's really good. I didn't realize how actually good this match is.
Yeah,
really good match. All time, no.
They go 20 minutes in this match.
Yeah. The thing is, you could have, if it had all been predetermined, do you know what I mean? If it had all been orchestrated in the sense that Brett gets double crossed and Brett leads, do you know what I mean? If everybody was on the right terms and on the right page, this would have been a fantastic ending to the match. Because it's something that everybody was talking about. When I was a kid, I went to school the next day. My mate goes, "Did you hear what happened to Brett?" I went, "No." He said, "Brett got screwed." What? Brett got screwed? Fuck, what the fuck happened? Oh, Vince McMahon, blah, blah, blah. It was water cooler talk. It really was. It was really, really good. But unfortunately, it was all real, which means that Brett didn't go back. It was like, it would have been a great ending had everybody been on board with it.
By the way, that ring post figure 4 was the coolest underrated moves of all
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
First time I ever saw that, my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah.
It begs a question, though. If WCW does Starrcade 97 the correct way and Sting actually goes over clean, could this night have possibly been the beginning of the end for the WWE?
No, I don't think so.
You still had Stone Cold.
I still think it's a risky move, though, doing that, because, as you say, Bret was so beloved that to do that to him in front of his hometown, Austin still had broken his neck. It's not as if they were even guaranteed that Austin would have made WrestleMania because his neck was in such bad shape. It was a ballsy move, but I think they probably knew that WCW were not going to capitalize, because I think WCW back then was known as dropping the ball on a lot of people that went up, besides the NWO. But in terms of, I think Mick Foley said in his book that Bret told him, don't go back to WCW. Don't go back, because the way they used you in the first place made you come here. Why would you go back to that?
You're not wrong. By the way, if Austin could not have, quote unquote, gone at WrestleMania, meaning he couldn't work a match, I am still convinced they would have thrown him out there to squash whomever in 2.5 to 3 minutes with 2 or 3 stunners, 1, 2, 3, just like Sting should have done. We go back to the Starrcade 97 thing. Sting shows up, and whatever reason, Bischoff's not feeling it, Hogan's not feeling it. The right call, and tell me you disagree, the right call at that moment is fine. Sting's got to win this thing in 2.5 minutes and just squash Hogan into oblivion. We can always make up for it later. But on this night, after this build, after everything that's happened, Sting has to look like Superman, and they didn't do it, and they failed spectacularly in that regard. If Austin couldn't wrestle, you can damn sure he'd have thrown 2 or 3 stunners on either Hart or Michaels. Got the 1, 2, 3, because remember, Undertaker is still at Gorilla waiting for the guy to come back.
Anthony, real quick, I can't necessarily agree with the Austin take, but that what you just said about Sting and Hogan, that just blew my fucking mind. I'll never think about it differently. That's exactly how that should have happened. Holy shit, Anthony. I just picture that in my mind. Sting coming out, Stinger Splash, Scorpion Death Drop, done, pin. The fucking crowd would go ape shit.
All the crowd wanted that night was for Sting to kill him.
That would have been.
And when that thing was competitive, as long as it was, Sting was dead. Sting was dead that night.
Hulk Hogan sat in a room with Eric Bischoff and went like this, and he said, you're right. He's still supposed to go over, but, that just doesn't work for me, brother.
It is amazing how much they fucked that up, because if you've got Bret, who's literally coming off the Montreal Screwjob, still the biggest babyface they had. Now this horrendous thing happens to him. He's got all the momentum going in. Sting, Hogan, main event. Sting wins it. You could have had Bret coming in with his momentum. And they just fucked it up. And is it any wonder WCW went into the toilet when they did stuff like that?
Here we go.
By the way, I want to say this match only has like a minute left. They cut out so much of the aftermath of this.
Yeah.
No, they went off what you see at this with Michaels walking through the curtain. That's when they went off the air.
Yep.
But watch the crowd. I always watch the crowd when this happens.
This is nuts.
Because they all surge forward like, what the fuck just happened? It felt big. It felt like something major had just happened.
There it is.
But just watch.
Watch how fast Earl Hebner gets up.
Yeah. Watch him.
They had taken his bet after he was told before he came out here. They loaded up their stuff. They were waiting with the car. He literally ran out and got in the car.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell.
He's out.
Bret Hart wasn't even looking at Hebner. Bret Hart was looking the opposite way when Hebner said, ring the bell, ring the bell. Bret Hart was looking the opposite direction.
Oh, my God.
But the thing is, like Jim Ross's commentary, where he goes, what happened? What the hell just happened? It feels like a moment. As I say, had this been orchestrated, it would have been one of the best endings to a wrestling match ever.
I agree.
This was such must-watch TV. Unfortunately, as you say, it was all real, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of bad shit went down. But my God, it's incredible. It is. You look at that crowd, they're like stunned. Unbelievable.
They want to burn it down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at them. They're hitting Shawn with the sides. They're shoving him. Look, he's getting the fuck out of Dodge.
It's just, it's incredible when you watch that. When I watched that as an adult, just how unbelievably the crowd are with Bret. And it felt like a moment. It was like, holy shit, this just happened.
Yep.
Those motherfuckers, fucking Vince McMahon. But of course, the genius of him, he was able to turn it and use it. Bret screwed Bret. The Austin era. As much as it was a horrible thing that happened with Bret, it was absolutely genius what they did with the WWF, because they turned it into something that fucking made money and made Vince McMahon this character. I hated Vince as a kid. Hated him because of what he did to Brett.
I hated Vince as a kid because, remember, I had to grow up with him as the commentator. What a maneuver! And oh my God, Jesse, look, he's doing the bird! Go look at me where he's doing the bird! Jesus Christ.
But oh man, honestly, the Austin Vince storyline as well. But do you know what I mean? This did catapult the Attitude Era. And the thing is, this should have been the beginning of something for WCW. Having Brett come in with all that momentum, something that horrible just happening to him. You know, and you watch Wrestling with Shadows, it fucking devastated him. Right? To then go to WCW, and they dropped the ball.
Oh,
and
God.
To have, you know, Austin and Vince doing what they're doing, Brett ends up getting kicked in the head by Goldberg. It's kind of a shitty thing to happen, but at the same time, Jesus, it was great TV. I mean, watching that there, it's like, my God, this felt like a big moment. And I guess maybe that's the legacy of it.
Speaking of great TV, I think Henry has a surprise for us.
So we've seen the Montreal Screwjob, and we've all heard the stories. And we know that after Bret Hart has a stroke in 2002, Vince McMahon actually reaches back out to him, and they both make peace. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen that easy for Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. They were bitter enemies for over 12 years because of what happened that night in Montreal. Because I like to see a happy conclusion to a story sometimes, we're going to do something a little bit different today. Ordinarily, we would go around the room, we'd talk about how we feel about Survivor Series 97, Phil would hit the outro, and we'd be done. Tonight, however, we're going to conclude our show on Survivor Series 1997 with a different show. I'm going to ask you that are still listening here at home and watching us on YouTube to go back to the Peacock, to season 18, episode number 1 of WWE Monday Night Raw, January the 4th, 2010, from the Nutter Center where the hell is that? I think I wrote it down. I must have. Dayton, Ohio. I couldn't remember where it was for a second. I wanted to say Cleveland, and I knew that wasn't right. We are going to see on this night Bret Hart be the guest host of WWE Monday Night Raw. Bret Hart would sign a 4-month contract that would lead into that year's WrestleMania, which hopefully, if the wheel gets spun right, we'll get to cover on the M3 24-hour show on June 4th. But for tonight, the moment that I have picked out of this show is the opening of the show. We're going to go to 4 minutes and 50 seconds because I don't want to actually fill time with the intro to Monday Night Raw. But we're going to see Bret Hart standing in the ring, and he's going to invite Shawn Michaels out. And either they're going to beat each other to death or they're going to finally make peace.
And we're going to track it to the end of the show, guys. So
Can I do the countdown?
It's going to be season 18, episode 1. Is everyone there?
Yeah. Can I do the countdown?
Yeah, sure. As long as everyone's ready.
Sweet.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Go Pats! Sorry.
We can edit that out, right?
Yep.
All right, guys, y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Ladies, you ready? All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
I guess hell froze over. I know there's a lot of people out there that are wondering why I'm here tonight and why now. But, you know, I've had a long time to think about things. It's been 12 years since I've been back in the WWE, and it's an amazing feeling. You know, for the last few years, I tried so many times to find a way to come back, but every time I tried to come back, Vince McMahon would always decline and tell me that it wasn't possible. I just want to say that I'm grateful for this moment right now, to be here and to be able to talk to the WWE Universe. You know, the most important thing I got to say right now. It's nice to be back. You know, I just want to say
This is a chance for me to say to all my
What the heck?
Say to all my fans all around the world, thank you so much for never letting me be forgotten. I owe everything that I am today, and I've been in my whole life, to the WWE Universe, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for carrying me in your hearts for all these years. Never to be forgotten. As I stand here right now, I feel myself flooded with millions of memories, great memories. In fact, I can remember being right here at the Nutter Center and winning the very first King of the Ring. One of my proudest moments and one of my proudest nights. As a matter of fact, I think I remember at the end of it that Jerry Lawler jumped me and, hey, King, nice to see you. Some things never change. Anyway, there's another reason why I'm here tonight, and I'm going to get right to the point. I got 12 years of things that I wanted to get off my chest, and the very first thing I want to do is I want to call back there and ask Shawn Michaels to come out here, see me face to face. Whoa.
The Hitman not wasting any time. And there's Shawn Michaels, who's always been in the eye of the storm, and of course he was 12 years ago in Survivor Series. And I can tell you, King, this is the first time since November of 1997 that Shawn Michaels will have had any contact at all with Bret Hart. I don't know about you, but I got some goosebumps going up my spine right now. What is going to happen here? Have they let it go? Have they let the incident go? Or will all those emotions come rushing back and overwhelm these two men tonight? I don't know, but like Bret Hart said at the beginning, apparently hell has frozen over.
Shawn Michaels. I'll just call you Shawn. I think I'd like to take this opportunity right now to bury the hatchet with you and call for a truce.
Super kick. No.
I got my popcorn for this.
First of all, Hitman, before you come out here and get your closure, there's something I've been waiting 12 years to say to you. The fact is, you deserved what happened 12 years ago in Montreal. You disrespected me, and you disrespected this business. And yes, I did have a hand in what Vince McMahon did that night.
I rest my case.
And there's a part of me, there's a big part of me that doesn't regret a bit of it. But there's another part of me. There's another part of me that knows that in the last 12 years, a lot of things have changed. A
A lot of things in my life have changed. You know, Brett, I always respected you. I just never felt you respected me. And there were times I couldn't stand the sight of you. And I know the feeling is more than mutual. But you know something? When I think of Bret Hart, I don't think of Montreal. I think of Anaheim, California. I think of a 60-minute Iron match. A 60-minute Iron match that everybody said nobody'd want to see. And they certainly wouldn't want to see it on pay-per-view. They said nobody could do it. Yeah, Bret the Hitman Hart and Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels went out there, and they did do it. And they redefined everything that this industry ever stood for. When I think of Bret Hart, I think of the excellence of execution. You're not the only one, Bret, that's been carrying this around for 12 years. You're not the only one that's ready to move on. You're not the only one that wants to bury the hatchet. I guess all I have to say is, are you sure? And are you ready?
Well, let's be real honest. You weren't the easiest guy in the world to love either back then. And you're a guy that certainly had his issues. But you're right. My career and your career shouldn't always be tagged by what happened at Survivor Series. I had a great career. You've had a great career. We both accomplished so many things. I think it's as good a time as any right here and now for you and me to take this opportunity in front of all these fans right here in Dayton and all around the world. Look each other in the eye and take this moment and say that we could be friends. So I offer my hand to you in friendship. Right here in front of everybody, right from the heart, right from the bottom of my heart. I call for a truce, and I call for you to shake my hand. And if you want to bury the hatchet, let's bury it right now.
They teased it. They teased it. That was so heartwarming. That tease for the sweet chin music at the end was just it got you. So I think that's a really, really good way to sort of put a bow on this. So let's go around the room here real quick. And Henry, I think we'll get to you last, since this was your idea to end it this way. So we'll start with the baldest man from Rhode Island, Anthony Pires. Anthony, what did you think of Survivor Series and the truce between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart?
Well, look, no one's ever going to look at Survivor Series 97 and think of the great matches on that show. That show is a legacy event for one moment, and one moment in particular, that completely changed wrestling as we know it. It had to happen. Couldn't have happened any other way. WWE, we thought, lost the war that night. They actually won it. And as far as the truce goes, it was for a guy like me who saw both these guys in their earliest, youngest days before they were the Hitman of the Heartbreak Kid. it was nice to see that entire relationship come around again.
Yeah. Adam, what are your thoughts, buddy?
I forgot how good 97 was. I mean, everybody knows 96, 97 was some of the best years of wrestling. But I didn't realize it was 12 years later that they finally come around and said the truth. So to bring it all together in hindsight, it was just good to see. I wonder if they still talk to these like now. I wonder if they're still friends to this day.
And we're never going to see anything like this in wrestling again. Nick,
not at all.
I'm so glad you picked this because this has been some of the most awesome wrestling conversation I've had in a long time, because this topic to this day is still one of the highest talked about, debated, what if scenario topics of all time. So I'm glad you picked it. What are your thoughts on 97?
No, listen, I'm a massive Bret Hart fan. Bret Hart's the reason why I'm a wrestling fan in general. And in 2010, I actually got to interview him on a podcast, and I actually got to thank him. I was like, you know what, Bret? I said, you got me through, when I was miserable and shit, I would watch your videos. And to me, when I watched the Bret and Shawn thing, it was so nice. It was brilliant because I met him in 2005 and I could tell that he was still holding on to that. And I was like 15 or something. When I spoke to him in 2010, I reminded him of that. I said, I spoke to you and I said, it's really great that you guys got to wrap it up. And he's like, it was important for me to do that. And I think more than anything, it was the stroke. It was the fact that he'd had the stroke. He had to come back from that. That could have finished him off. He's a survivor. That A&E documentary that they did about Bret Hart is fantastic. I love Bret Hart so much, man, because to me, he was wrestling. I'm so thrilled he's happy now. I'm so thrilled he's in a better place because it's exactly what he deserves. He's a great, great guy.
Well said. Brandy?
I also forgot how good that pay-per-view was because the only thing you remember is the screw job. And you could see the emotion and the pain in Bret's face at the end, and to then come full circle at the very end and him actually make peace with Shawn. It was a good feeling. I wanted to murder Shawn for when he said, you deserved it that night. I'm like, you could have not said that.
You were being honest.
But if we're being honest, he was.
Remember, we are the hero in our own story.
Indeed. Do you think he knew what was going to be said before he went out? Do you think they went over it, or do you think it was just all?
They I actually remember the conversation they had. They met briefly in catering. They kind of did a quick handshake and a hey, how you doing? And then Bret said, let's save the rest of the conversation for the ring.
Awesome. Okay.
And I know that to this day, like, they're cordial. Like, they'll be at different events that they're at together and say, hi, how are you? How's the family? But they're not, like, talking to each other every day or anything, which they never were.
They don't need to be
super close best friends or anything. But they're cordial if they're at the same signings. They will, check in.
Henry, you had a wonderful idea of how to close the show with the truce, and then we had 97 in general, Survivor Series 97 still polarizing to this day. So, what were your final thoughts on this whole episode?
I will say that when I found out we were doing Survivor Series 97, my very first thought was, son of a bitch, we're doing the pay-per-views backwards again. And then as I'm starting to work on my show notes and I'm looking through the card, I had that epiphany. What if we make this go full circle? There was one match I excluded from the card because I wanted to include the little bit from the Monday Night Raw, because I felt, to me, that to properly tell the story right. Bret Hart, for 14 years, was one of the mainstays and the stalwarts of the World Wrestling Federation. He was a multiple-time Intercontinental Champion, a multiple-time Tag Champion, and a multiple-time WWE Champion. To be done dirty in the way he was, we'll probably still debate it once this show's over, and probably for the rest of our lives, whether or not that was the right thing to do. But when I remembered that little bit about Shawn and Bret making peace with one another, I really didn't know how this was going to work. And I had a devil of a time pitching it to anybody else. But actually being able to see it like this, I'll be honest, we've done a lot of these. I think we're getting close to 100 episodes, I think. This is one of my favorite episodes. I want to thank Nick both for joining us this afternoon and for picking Survivor Series 97.
Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
I'd love someday to have you and Justin Davis, our other big Bret Hart fan, join us and pick these apart. Mr. Pires, you're an asshole. But I'm very happy that you were able to join us today, too. This is the first time you've been part of a show that I've been able to be part of all the way through. And I had a lot of fun today. When we were getting ready to get started, I was in a very dark mindset. And spending the half hour with you while waiting for Nick to join us so that we could get started, it brought me to a better place today. And I feel like that this show is better because of it. But overall, Survivor Series 97, Randy said it better than I could. Nobody remembers it for anything but the screw job. I think the Owen Hart match, to me, was one of the best matches of the night. It was a short match because of Austin's injury, but it was one of the better matches on the card. And truthfully, I wish that Montreal 1997 Survivor Series could be remembered maybe more for that than what happened to Bret Hart. But overall, this was a good show for me.
Yep.
Things happen for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Whether you subscribe to any religion or not, or what you believe in, I've always believed that things do happen for a reason. That's because of my wife. But looking at Survivor Series 97, which right after this kicked off the Attitude Era, as we just kicked off Anthony Pires on this show. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, this event right here and everything going forward through the Attitude Era in the forefront shot to WWE, WWF, past WCW, changed the landscape. They elevated everything. They elevated Degeneration X to next level shenanigans. Austin, became the anti-authority. We have, everything that happened would not have happened, I don't believe, had we had the screw job, had we not had the screw job. Would we had similar things? Would things have been elevated a little bit? Absolutely, but not at all to the degree that they are in. Before we get out of here, though, I do have a very brief but very special Bellicent. Well, guys, I would be remiss if I didn't take another opportunity to let everyone know that June 4th at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. Eastern, we are having our first ever M3 for Charity Marathon Mania Madness event. 24 hours, random WrestleManias, and we're going to be raising donations, raising money for the Organization for Autism Awareness. Autism Research. I apologize. And it's a really good cause that autism affects way more people than anyone realizes. And there, you could have, Brady could have autism. Nick could have autism. You might not even realize it. My child, who does have autism, before they were diagnosed with it, you would have never known. This kid's so smart that they would mistake them for a teacher at their school, and they're in middle school. So, but they have different struggles in different ways, and it's really rough because children that have autism tend to be bullied more. Adults that have autism tend to struggle more emotionally, and it's something that we need to go with. We need to kick autism's ass. So join us June 4th, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Also, if you'd like to, hop on over to Pro Wrestling Tees, get our Mania Madness Marathon T-shirts. All proceeds go to the Organization for Autism Research, and it's a great cause. But we're gonna have a lot of fun too on the 4th. It's not just gonna be us blubbering over each other. It's gonna be us talking shit. We're gonna watch WrestleMania. We're gonna have some major guests. We're gonna have some random guests, and we're gonna try to keep me up for 24 hours straight, which is gonna be a challenge. I'd like to thank Nick Mills for joining us today. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for making this episode, man. It was fantastic. And for Brady Wagner, Adam from Bama, Rhode Island Sex God, and Frank Bruno, Ballless Man of Rhode Island, Anthony Pires, Henry and myself. Thanks for joining us, and until next time.
14 WrestleManias.
A leg drop, an elbow smash, a body slam.
Are you ready to fight? Who will survive?
He's got him!
Goodbye.